You're watching PEGRI TV, Rhode Island's public access channel.
Salam. My name is Sheikh Abu Abdullah, President Chairman of Al-Masjid Sharia Law, a non-profit religious organization operating in the state of Rhode Island, USA. I know there's a lot of brothers and sisters out there that are believers. Out of 1 billion point, maybe 900,000 or 900 million, there must be plenty believers out there. But it's time, what I'm saying now, it's time for you believers to step up front and begin to do what you're supposed to be doing under the law's commands. And the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu following of the law's way and giving it to us. Right now, the Jamaat of the Ummah is all divided, falling apart, not doing the things that Allah commanded us to do, not obeying the law's way, doing everything contrary to what Allah said to do. And it's costing us. Out of 1,430-something years or 40-something years, we Muslims in the last 30 years or 40 years have not progressed a little bit. Matter of fact, we have retrogressed a great deal. We're doing so many different things commanded by our desires and our ambitions and our greed that is destroying our position in Islam. Now, you want me to explain that? I will explain it later, but that's exactly what's happening. We're on a big trip, and the trip is being, the funds for the trip, the things, the candy for the trip, the guy that's jumping up at the candy, for the candy, the rings that we're trying to put our fingers around on the merry-go-round, is being provided by our evil side. Forcing us to go ahead and accept this stuff. We're not functioning as we should. Matter of fact, we're completely contrary than our books and the description of a Muslim or a believer or mu'min. So far so that it's confusing when you say, well, he's a Muslim, she's a Muslim. And you look at them and you say, well, not by this prescription that I see in the books. That's not a Muslim by the descriptions I see in the books. I see everything other than that. I see Western civilization being part of their whole deen. I see them putting in 19 and 20 hours on a job and 2 or 3 hours on Islam, not even that much. If you count the prayers 5 times a day, how much time they put in a prayer, it might be about 3 hours all day long. Might be 3 hours all day. I don't think it's that long. And the work that they're doing for Islam cannot be counted because it's not visible. There's nothing that you can see. Only thing I see them doing is reciting the Quran over and over and over again on different television shows and different TV networks and different movie pictures, different internet sites, and not doing anything to build Islam and the people in it. We're still heavily employed by non-Muslims doing their bidding, doing their work, doing what's needed for them. We're still walking around in some countries in a Western hospital. We're still dependent upon, in some countries, welfare and other monies that come from different programs that is provided by that country. We still don't have any factories and jobs and whatnot. And these countries we're spending billions of dollars in at all. And that's not good. That's not good at all. So I say it's high time you so-called believers begin to practice what Allah commands you to do. If you believe, if you say you're a believer, then you start to be practicing what you're supposed to do. I left you last time, and I was describing the act to you with something I seen on television, on the news, on CNN, on 20-minute programs by Muslims, on websites. I've seen brothers outside in the street walking around tie-bleaking or trying to tie-bleak non-believers. And they're walking up to them and they're talking about Islam, part Islam. Then they go into Jesus Christ, Salam Alaikum. Then they go into Moses, Salam Alaikum. Then they back to Muhammad, Salam Alaikum to that. And it's been all this time doing that. Then they turn around and say, well, what do you think about Islam? And the person there, like a controlled rabbit, says, I like it, I want to be part of it, And they say, okay, put your finger in the air and repeat after me. And they got 2 more brothers standing there. And he says, he puts his finger in the air, both of them got their finger in the air, and he says, now repeat after me. La, the brother says, La ilaha, La ilaha, La ilaha illallah, illallah, subhanallah, I can't do it slow. La ilaha illallah Muhammadan Rasulullah. And the brother repeats that after him. And he says, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Takbir, Takbir, Takbir. Now you're a Muslim. And it's been all that time violating the code on how to give a shahada to a new member. That's what that was, a violation of the hadith and the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu way of giving a shahada. That's right. The shahada comes from the Prophet's way that he gave a shahada to people in Medina. And it wasn't like that. It's written in the hadiths of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, which is the hadiths of Allah. Because the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said, I give you nothing of my own, that everything I give to you comes through me to you from Allah. So when we keep talking about Muhammad's Sallallahu Muhammad's Sunnah, he's saying, I got the Sunnah of Allah. I'm following the Sunnah of Allah, the way of Allah, the way Allah told me to do things. I said, I'm following. What are you following? Oh, you following my Sunnah? No. You got to follow, when he say Sunnah, the way, he said from the beginning that he's following the way of the law, what Allah gave to him to follow. So we must do the same, say the same thing. That he gave to him to follow, and he gave it to us to follow. So it's the laws of Sunnah, the way of law, different stuff to do. But there's so many people trying to get us to worship man like they doing, that it got into our system following the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ and converted into certain places. It sounds like you're worshiping him. You got to be very careful of that. And he said to be careful of that. This is one of the reasons why he didn't want to have the hadith written in the beginning. Because he was afraid that you wound up worshiping him. Like they worship Jesus Christ. Like they pray down and ask Moses and Mary and all these different people and all these saints for blessings and presents and help them with the rent and all that kind of stuff. Statues in the street they got in parks and behind the church or next to the church and the benches and stuff. So our brothers is out there doing that, and it's not the way a shahada is supposed to be given. There's too many things that you must do on taking a shahada. If you're able to walk, talk, run, and well, there's a method you must follow. And they're not following that method. And that brother has no business giving them shahadas out there in the street anyway. It should be done in the masjid by the imam, or somebody the imam appoints to give the shahadas, with records of the shahada, with papers and records of the shahada, where they took it at, who gave it to them, and the date of the shahada, who was the person that took the shahada, what was their names, their address, their date of birth, their social security number, and everything else to be able to identify this person if something happens to him. Well, I'm not sorry to put you through this, but I think it's very important that, let's put it this way, the weakest part of a link is the strongest part of the link. The chain is not going to be no stronger than the weak link. I don't care how big the chain is. If you got a weak link, it's going to break at that link. It's not going to be no stronger than its weakest link. And if you turn around and you're shortening the shahadas and not giving that out right, and you're not leaning right, and you're not praying right, and you're not drinking water right, and you got all these different things, then your deen is all messed up, because all of them is a part of your deen. And we got to do it. You, me, and everybody else. We got to do it. We can't just keep walking about doing what we want to do. And when we get ready to do it. This is why Allah said, quote the law. When the deen, when desires for things, which is wanting something, wanting to have something, desire something, have a sweet taste for something, enters the hearts of the believers, so does the devil, so does Shaitan, so does Iblis, so does evil. And he told us that, in order to let us know that this is how it comes into our blood, through our desires. Our desires then become so strong that we satisfy our desires before we make prayer. We will satisfy our desires first. And we got the desires going into prayer, we got the desires on our mind. So I advise you, and like I advise myself, we must begin to straighten up our act. And we must begin to follow Allah's way, the way He described us to live, the way He described us to be. Because that's the only way we're going to make it out in this world. None of us are capable of doing this without a law. None of us. You, me, or anybody else. So we need a law to continue this Islamic steps, these Islamic movements that we got to make. Allah designed Islam to fight the things that's happening to us today, and He assigned them years ago. There is no such thing as old Islam or out-of-date Islam, not up-to-date Islam, because the Islam is just as much up-to-date as it was 1,400 years ago, because there's nothing that changed. The sins is all the same. The same things kind of sins, the same dope using sins, the same stealing sins, the same masturbation sins, the same sins of stealing somebody's heart and their wives and all that. The same lying and cheating, all that is going on. The same sins are in existence. So we must do something about that. And the only thing to do about that right now, excuse me, is to come together and practice our deen as one ummah. Not as a bunch of divisions divided up, but as one ummah. How are we going to get there? I don't know. I know how we can start to get there, but I don't know how we're going to get there. I got ideas, but we got to put them ideas together. I don't know if them ideas are going to work. But I know I got ideas how we can get there. Excuse me. Bismillah. Oh boy, oh boy, oh. Excuse me. I don't know how we're going to get there. I advise you like I advise myself. We must begin to try. We must begin to make Islam number one. We must begin to find ways to employ ourselves. We must open up our own little hospitals where we can take care of our own people. We must get food line so we can help feed our own people that's out of work. We must open up ways of getting close to our own people. We can't keep having our people in different countries depend upon the non-Muslim people for their survival. And that's what a lot of them are doing. A lot of us are dependent upon the ideals of another country for our survival. And that's the truth. I depend on Social Security to make it. Without the Social Security and other programs that's non-Islamic, I wouldn't be making it. I would be either in the street laying down, picking up tin cans, and with me with emphysema and cancer and need the lung machine, this oxygen stuff, me needing oxygen like this 24/7, I wouldn't have been here now. This is not provided by an Islamic company. This is not coming to me through Islam. It might be coming to me because of my work doing Islam. That Allah is finding a way for me to get it. But it's coming to me through Medicare and Medicaid. And my Social Security money is coming to me through work that I did do, but not enough work because I lost my jobs and stuff and I got sick. And they only to take one other job and put down as my income. And it wasn't enough for me to get full Social Security. I didn't make that much. If it took the whole thing and gave it to me, all the money I made during the time I was working, and they did it that way, I'd probably have enough to live off of. Right now, I don't have enough to live off of. I'm being helped with different programs. So we Muslims should have our own. There's people walking around in the Islam with billions of dollars in the banks. Young kids got $8-9 million, $80 million. You got billionaire people walking around off of oil money. We don't have a welfare. We got taxes that's supposed to be taken out and used for things like that, but haven't been designed for that. They haven't been designed to operate that way. It's got to be more or less, it's got to be arranged for the future as today. Or arranged to meet these kind of conditions. That's on us. That's not on the law. That's on us. We should have did that a long time ago. We should have passed taxes on our own people that's higher than 2%, 2.5%. Especially on the rich. The rich should be giving up, the multi-rich should be giving up at least 15 or 20% of their yearly income because they don't need it. They don't need to own a boat for $80 million, a ship for $80 million to sit down in a port and do nothing but sit there. That's money wasted. We need to tax those people more. And the only way we're going to be able to do that is we have a completely organized system of Al-Nadine and control of that system in Al-Nadine. And that's what we must do. Because we don't have the monies coming in each masjid to provide for the sick and elderly in that section, that community. You got these many masjids. If you had these many masjids, each one of these masjids should have an economic development system attached to it. That they earn funds through construction, through stores, through butcher shops, through schools, through all different kinds of things they earn money. And that money can then go into a fund that will pay for or be invested in oil. Let's say oil. And it delivers $200,000, 200,000 barrels a year, a week, a day, or whatever, however they do it. That money then can be used in a fund to put our elderly away. In other words, have them in a house that they would have to pay little amounts of money as rent. They pay maybe 6% of the rent, and the other part of the rent be paid by the organization. And the only way that can be done, is to have oil wells or gold mines or silver mines or some kind of system going on that bring in that kind of money. You see, that's what needs to happen. Or else we're not going to be able to do this. And this is what we're supposed to be able to do. Take care of our people, our Muslim people, regardless of what they look like, whether they're African American, Chinese, Latino, German, French, African, wherever they come from, wherever they're at, to take care of our people on an equal basis. Now, those that are millionaires don't have to worry about going into a senior citizen home or senior citizen apartment building where they pay 6 or 7% of the rent because they got millions, billions of dollars tucked away.